Mr. Tom Hart in his program, Memories of the 2019 National Symposium. The symposium was held in Honolulu, Hawaii, and was titled Mixed Modern Architecture in a Multicultural Context. Photos that we'll be viewing tonight will feature the work of IMP, Vladimir Ossipoff, Wimberly and Cook, and Killingsworth, Brady and Smith, and Asian influenced temples. Tom, as mentioned, is a Denver-based architect whose practice specializes in single-family residential remodeling and new construction. Hart Studio's work has been located throughout the Denver metro area and especially in landmark districts and Colorado Mountains. He and his family live in a mid-mod house in Hilltop that they removed. So with that, Tom, the floor is yours.
Okay, pull that up.
Yes.
And
share screen.
that's wireless, right? So I can just take the keyboard.
Yep.
Although I think you're better to be here heard if
Yeah.
you're standing.
Yeah,
to be
probably stand here.
So I actually got involved in Docomomo with my son. He's an architect in Honolulu. School there. He's on for now. He's at the university. Pretty well there. So this was like late September 2019. The first evening's reception is at an Ossipoff building. We'll go through that name quite a bit as we go on here. And yes, the drinks in your hands there was more than a little bit of that. But it was a fun time. Actually, the speaker that evening, a man named Sid Snyder, who was Ossipoff's partner. And this is on Waikiki Beach's canoe club. So the theme of it was East meets West. The formal sessions, speakers were in this building. This is on the University of Hawaii campus. It's called Jefferson Hall, done by IMP in '63 when he was creating buildings. He's done a number of buildings. He had done a number of buildings there on campus. Kicked off with a traditional Hawaiian greeting acknowledgement. Mentioned presentations, the lectures. And day one, I went on introduction to Hawaii architecture, how what's appropriate for the islands. There was lectures on Asian influences. Paradigms was kind of a fun one. A guy really has collected all these media things from the 50s about Hawaii, that was presented on the mainland. That was coding it as a modern paradise in the Pacific. And everything is new all the time and kind of effective on reservation plans. Designing paradise, resort design. There's also at the time concurring exhibits at the university, Museum of Art, IBM building that one on like historic logo shirts. It's been about a few days. So, but the real highlights are the tours, and there on your left is the Hawaii State Capitol building. Right downtown, 65 to 69 was when it was built. John Carl Warnicke designed that, and it's known for there's a lot of symbolism in the building. The columns symbolize palm trees, and it's surrounded by a reflecting pool, which symbolizes the ocean. There's the chambers of the various houses are kind of these cone-shaped, volcano-shaped things on the inside there. It's open, got an open courtyard in the middle, so the sky is their dome. All those kinds of things, really kind of cool. Then start here with I saw a lot of residences. This is the Wimberly residence. seen these things around actually. That's just kind of the general program. This was a brochure on a number of the buildings that were on campus. So the Wimberly residence, this is the residence of George Wimberly, Wimberly and Cook. So built in 1945, which obviously was the architect. And this is, I think, recently sold or on the market. It's got problems with termites and other kinds of things that we have in the tropics. There's one, but it's a really cool residence. I saw pictures of it when it was built. That tree was not there. Yeah. Didn't really grow there. Obviously, on the hillside, it's cool. You know, a lot of outdoor circulation on these buildings because it's raining this day, but it's pretty good weather. You don't have to worry about snow. But you can see some rock there and some rust and so on. Still, I think, owned by the family. This is the inside, obviously. Those boxes, they're like double layers of glass or plexiglass, and then they would slide to the side to get this nice cross ventilation space.
So those are all.
So all
Yes.
those boxes, so every
Not
single
all
one
of them,
is,
but
okay,
like every other one, you can see it's kind of checkerboard pattern there.
yeah. How interesting. That's pretty fascinating.
Across the street then is the Ernst residence, also done by George Wimberly. This one in 1949. Ernst was in military intelligence post-World War Japan. He was there from the end of the war, moved to Hawaii in about 49. He was a Japanese culture enthusiast. And so a lot of that kind of influence to this building. You've got all these sliding panels, shoji screens, mommy mats put to the inside. Jalousie windows, you can kind of see those there on the right. You see a lot of those in the tropics. Good ventilation. You can see his interest in Japanese architecture, but this is kind of going hand in hand with the the cross-cultural kind of influences that you had in Hawaii. I mean, there it is in the middle of the Pacific. Obviously, you had Polynesian culture there for thousands of years. The Westerners showed up, and then, of course, you've got a lot of Asian influence coming in as well. 49 that day. The upper level, and then you go down the stairs, which are just out of view below us here. There they are, right there. That's fun collectibles.
So was this a single family residence?
Single family residence, right? And it's not still in the family. So this is the lower level. You can see that courtyard up through that window there where the water, rain was coming down through there. This nice shoji screens. You see these handsome doors there on the left. Pocketing, sliding doors. Look at the detail. Get that kind of hand-built craftsmanship. So then one of the tours, Asian influences, and was a number of Buddhist temples. I've been in a Buddhist temple, so I'm going to go on this. So a lot of these temples then, keeping with where they are, they're combining Western motifs, classical columns and such, with Eastern motifs. Buddhists, so you got stupas and so on. This is the Hanpa Hongwanji Temple. Original part in the middle there was built in 1918. And then it was added on to there on the right, 1954. Emery Webb, Kenji Amodera, and Arthur O'Hara, the architects. That's kind of interesting the way that this modern kind of addition off to the side. Then we've this is the interior. Never been one of these, and so look at the different motifs. You got very classical thinking. Look at the entrance framed doorway back there. All these Buddhist things, these curvy lines, and the column capitals. I forget what those are called, but these are not Eastern. Use then this is the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, built in 1961 by Wang and Wang. So this is Chinese. The inverted barrel vaulted roofs kind of recall the traditional Chinese flared roofs. If you could do that in a modern manner. If you couldn't go inside this one.
A new building now. I know who would like this one. Scott. Not here today.
If it's on his list.
Then we went out to what's called Kyoto Gardens, and it's columbariums and it's graveyard. So this building here, the columbarium pavilion, this pavilion is a copy of the Kyoto's Golden Pavilion. It's a concrete and steel frame structure, copper shingled wood frame roof, built without nails. And then adjacent to it, again, is the pagoda, which is a replica of one in Nara, Japan. And when it was built, it was the only known concrete pagoda in the world. Look closely, it's in pretty sad shape. But you know, being a cemetery like this, they don't have a lot of money to keep up these things. Nonetheless, I just wanted to see This is
That is wild. Is that concrete?
1967. Robert Katsuyoshi. That's the temple. Walkway around it. And then this is the Soto Zen Temple, 1952. Fuchino and Katsuyoshi. So there's these, Asian or local architects who quite often came to the mainland, get educated, and then went back after the war, were designing things. The highlight, obviously, is that 70-foot tall stainless steel tower. He's got these octagon brick wings, which reflect the eightfold path of life. That's a really cool building, almost deco-esque, something, I don't know. Look at the column capitals here, call those.
It almost looks like it belongs in Metropolis.
Or it should be a scale model.
That's what I was thinking from Metropolis in that movie.
Right. Wow, yeah, it's almost deco.
Then you've got some breeze block.
Breeze block, right? Inside, that was nicely detailed. It's a glass block here at the frame to the inside. Going quickly through this.
Really?
This is the Jean Charlot. Jean Charlot is an artist born in Paris. After World War I, he moved to Mexico and hung out with people like Diego Rivera and was active in the resurgence of the Mexican muralists movement. So then he, 1958, he moved into Hawaii after the Second World War. And then he hired in Wimberly, he came up before. This is kind of a collaboration house, they say. And imagine the architecture is mostly Wimberly, but a lot of the stuff would be Charlotte. Go ahead, shoes. Come in, you got the concrete floor, exposed structure, very basic kind of thing. You can start to see like the tile above the openings there, the windows and the doors. You know, the great indoor outdoor kind of living that they can do there. And here you've got a table that slides, it's stationary, but it goes all the way through there. And then the glass slides down the middle of it. And they want to shut that off. Cool thing there. And you can see, you know, it's a mix of not only, you know, lumber that is cut, but also raw pieces. Use a concrete block. To view of that. All these kind of covered pergola areas. The outside. Nice stairway up, rustic art. The bedrooms are on the upper level. That's the details.
Those are really nice tools.
Obviously, before modern codes.
Yeah.
So and here's in the dining room. So when we were visiting, this house recently was on the market. I think it was owned by the university, and the guy there on the left, a student who got to live there, like as a caretaker. Kind of a cool gig. You see on that wall there behind them, that interesting fuzzy kind of block. Well, that is actually cut from the roots of a tree.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's set up for just for texture or for acoustics or for, I mean, what could it be? But here's the problem. Stuff is, this building was done in 1958, so over 50 years old. You know, you can't get this anymore for environmental reasons, not even be endangered. But so what do you do when it starts to deteriorate? You can see somebody's driven some sloppy nails in there to try to keep it stuck to the wall. But that's kind of a, you know, sort of a challenge in terms of preservation and storing these things. Interesting.
It looks almost like, I don't know if you've ever seen a teepee carved out of palm wood.
Yeah, yeah.
But when the palm wood starts to kind of deteriorate a little bit, that's what it looks like on the inside. And so that's, perhaps it's from a palm tree root, or maybe the interior. I mean, I guess it also could be the interior of a palm tree.
Well, it's actually part of a root system, you know that much.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what the inside of the palm tree looks like on the palm tikis. I guess that would be the closest you could probably get to replacing it. It's kind of wild though.
Here. See the kitchen back in there.
Is that the curved wall from the entry?
Yeah, the entry is all of you on the left, and then opposite to our left here is the stairway. So the kitchen is going to be back in there, a little loft up in there. I wish I knew more about like the masks. Great time.
It looked like they might be New Guinea.
So here's a view of the main living space. You see the two-story space, and the louvers on the other side of the louvers. There's a bedroom up there, so you get some privacy as well as ventilation. Yeah, and you don't have to worry about insulation. A lot of things there, but ventilation you do. And there on that wall was one of the murals. So I think that, well, he did some murals in some of the public buildings in Hawaii. So they really took it to heart. So, nice detail, I thought. That was a good photo, but you know, just this is how they were putting shelves in a bookcase. Nice. Imagine trying to explain that. Okay. So then we have the Goodsell House. This is a house by Vladimir Ossipoff. So let me tell you about him a little bit. He was born in 1907 in Russia. His father was in the military, so then became like a attaché in Japan. So he only lived a couple of years in Russia, grew up then in Japan, moved to the States in 23. So he was there for 23 earthquake and all that kind of stuff, big fire. He actually saw Frank Lloyd Wright's Imperial Hotel being built and kind of fell in love with that kind of stuff, influenced him, but came to the States in 23 with his mother and sister and his father died in Japan. Tragically as all that stuff. So he, very good education, was fluent in Russian, Japanese, and English.
Interesting.
He went to UC Berkeley, became involved in the whole arts and crafts movement, influenced by them, moved back to Honolulu in 1931. So I would probably compare him to Victor Hornbein.
Okay.
You know, about that same age, same era, post-Wright kind of a thing, kind of doing a regional version of what Wright was doing. Okay. He died in 1998, so 90 years old. He's considered the master of Hawaiian modern architects, residential as well as commercial work. A lot of really nice houses. If you've ever been to Hawaii and flown into the Honolulu International Airport, that terminal is something that he did. The IBM building downtown, something that he did. He really had an eye for these residential scale. So this was built originally in 1952, and then as the warrior family, then as a family grew, he did a series of additions that Ossipoff was able to design. So this is the street view. I was going to bring along a point of word of health here. But what you do is you come. Okay, so coming from the street, you walk along here, turn, and you go up these steps over here, and then you turn right before you get to what you could consider as a front door. So very indirect kind of way of approaching this house. You in front of that house right there, this is kind of little balconies. You can see it's got a pool there. You see that railing wouldn't be cool nowadays, but it's very Japanese thing. That's again in front of the house, street side of the house. They had issues, not only is on a very steep site, but keeping privacy and blocking prevailing winds and so on. It's a challenge, so kind of dictated the form of the house. It's unusual to see a pool on the street side of things. You come around the corner, then you turn right, and this is what you confronted with. You follow underneath this great overhang here, and that's, I guess, back in here, you could call it, and this great lanai right here, which really became a living space. And then this was the stuff that was added was the this is the lanai, big paper lamps that work. And the louvered ventilation up here again. Louvers across here. You go up these outside stairs here to get back into that bedroom wing. Durable space. It's looking back then towards the courtyard. Yeah, I think it's more or less U-shaped building. And so we came in around this corner here. You see these doors right here? These are sliding doors that you see here. I got to go back. I do a lot of cutting to do this presentation to get off it in here. But these sliding doors here, you can see the track along. Of course, they're custom. The tops are cut at an angle, and the tracks are in that ceiling. If you can imagine that. Isn't that nice?
Don't hurt those doors, because I don't know what it would cost to replace those.
Right.
Gosh.
The house is vacant because I think that they were putting it on the market here. It's at that age, and all these houses are kind of at that age. Turnover, you know, it's constant worry, it's this thing gonna be torn down. They don't, as we feel our preservation efforts, rules all around here, I think that needs plus. I mean, everything is just so new. This is an old structure. You know, a lot of times buildings, due to the environment, will just fall apart, so we replace it.
Part of our conversation this morning was why it's so, preservation is so important right now for these buildings is a lot of original owners or second owners are leaving these buildings in one way or another. Yep.
Great built-ins. You know, all the wood paneling. Torture screens, courtyards, some fireplace out there. Nice little vignettes. Come up these stories here. Cool, that great tree there. Some nice study texture. Built-ins. You see the louvers there. And from the inside, you can see the high over that loggia. See the louvers up in there. So this is called the Millistrand House, done by Ossipoff as well. This is kind of his. Start looking at modern Hawaiian architecture. This is what's going to come up. This house here, and it was done in 1952. Dr. Millistrand and his wife. And, two kids, son and daughter, and in fact, when I was there, both times I was there. The son is still there. He's recently died, it's a couple of years, and he was there kind of as a caretaker. There's now a foundation that takes care of this building. Graham's on that foundation, and they have events and weddings and receptions and all sorts of things that you're lucky to get in. So it was. To approach this house, it's up in the mountains overlooking Honolulu, Waikiki. You take this long road and then drive winding up these valleys, and going through this eucalyptus forest. You can smell that, and the chickens are running around, pigs run across, and cats and so on. It's just kind of this feeling. So then, on the other side of that is the views, the carport. So look at that thing. Look at the overhangs. I could take this picture. Of course, it's not there. You know, they do have seismic issues. They have wind issues. That carport and then looking towards parking here, and you come back. There is actually Graham and son. A lot of not necessarily, maybe some of these what we're seeing, but they use a lot of redwood there, shipped in from California. It's heavy timbers and so on. You get this courtyard there. So the house is somewhat H-shaped. Go back. So you've got this wing coming out at us. This wing is kind of at an angle, but it's still kind of like the other later age. And then this wing between them, which is this is the master suite back in here. couple of kids' rooms and a study along this wing. This wing then has, along the side that you're seeing there, that's enclosed with a screen and so on. On the other side, then I'll show you pictures is outside corridor along there. It's like hallway. So on the back side, or the from the street view on the left side, there's this patio here, which is off the kitchen and breakfast area here. It's dining room, living room. You've got this great deck coming out here. Great V-shaped post there. We can start getting an idea of the view down there. That's the view from the deck over the pool. That's Diamond Head down there. And Waikiki over here. Usually these cats, feral cats. Great detail building in that bench to that railing. Go back. Notice that before. That's a whole bench. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Again, wouldn't meet code, but pretty cool. So this is kind of like the back side now with the downhill side. You can see the view over the how they have these doors lead back into the living room. So Ossipoff would show up at these job sites, and the workers, quite often old Japanese gentlemen, would just be taken aback. This guy would show up, clearly European looking, but spoke fluent Japanese, and could talk to them about how he wants this all detailed. They just really got into it. So, obviously the rain, you got to keep the rain out. Wind. Want to have wind sometimes. So there's this is that bedroom right through here. You got this outside walkway that connects the living area all the way then where I'm standing is off where the next two bedroom is. Kind of it from the lower level. Well, this is enclosed. You come down some stairs, and this is enclosed. But this whole area right here is open. And someone was telling us about how they, growing up, they had some great parties there.
Party when I right there.
There's bars over there. Bar.
Wearing indoor
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You can use this is 52.
52.
That's early for that level of design.
Imagine growing up as a kid. Yeah, people table here, these big parties. Yeah, let's go with them. That's fine. So those are this is the living room. This is living room. These windows look towards Diamond Head.
Need a cantilever on that hearth.
Yeah, look at that. And built-in seating here.
Wonder how many shins that's busted.
What's that?
I wonder how many shins that cantilever has busted over the years though. Super neat, but I know that is something you'd run into.
Yeah, it's not absolutely certain whether that is concrete or stone.
So
You even looked underneath this couple of years ago. This house is steel.
Oh, it's gotta
I
be.
feel like you have to. Wild.
Right here.
Yeah, that's nice.
And the flooring is almost like tatami mats. Right there.
And the built-in couch.
And then this is the dining room, my back is to the kitchen. So the living room beyond that. Winds, earthquakes, great furniture, right? This is all original furniture.
Well, just look how clean and modern it looks,
Yeah.
you know?
Built in here.
It's unreal.
So if you get to Honolulu, I'm sure Ben will be happy to arrange a tour.
I want to let him, we haven't done our Hawaii elopes that we've talked about. We'll elope in that house.
So rent it out for events.
That's what I was like, you said it does. I'm like, I don't know the prices, but
Burners in the plastic laminate.
Well, this is all stainless steel.
Oh.
And look at that. This has got, each burner is put in there. This is not like you go out and buy a range and stick it in there.
No.
It was all custom made. Mrs. Wostrand was very particular in a lot of attention to detail. And she worked out all these cabinets, and there was a cabinet that opened up and then had this pop up where a little typewriter, old fashioned typewriter, you know.
Type up a recipe cards.
Yeah, or correspondence, or, whatever. God, they had this great built-in for storing all the records. It was neat. This is the view from the kitchen sink. I'm great. Got views like that, right?
Yeah.
out of the ocean.
So, yeah.
Lovely hardware too.
Cabinets, it's similar to the hardware that we saw in that house there, when was that? A couple months ago, on the hillside. there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love our house. Yep.
But you look at this, it's just plywood, right? And you think, well, why is there a cutting board that, like down to your ankles? Why is there another one over here underneath the ovens? Those are not cutting boards. She can pull those out and step stool up to get to the upper cabinets. Very safe, but I mean, just think about it. I want to be able to get up there. Too short. Yeah.
Well, she also must not have been a very large person. Because stand on those, I don't know that I would.
Well, look how good of a job those big plates around there did. There's no, it's not all greasy.
It's not interesting.
Yeah, on raw plywood. That would have been trashed otherwise.
Yeah.
Or inset doors. It's not fine. We have perfection. Let's see. This is the master bedroom. Backside master bedroom. That's kind of in there. Have a diagonal. Gothic wood paneling. Nice furniture. Chair. I can't remember if this is the bedroom, corner bedroom, or whether this was something else.
I like the tacks.
Yeah, those gold.
Like the tacks. I
Yeah.
think they look like they're syringes.
They might be actually.
The cork wall, boy, wonder what the idea is with the funny angle in the shelf
Well,
Right.
but it's,
The chair can go in and out. I suppose.
chairs.
as your
Yeah, you
end
got-
page, your side page.
That spot was made for that chair.
World travelers, a lot of stuff. Then you go downstairs. Great suspended stairways. That one that we saw. And these treads
I was gonna say those are new.
wood,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say they have a distinct and that makes sense.
really heavy, durable. Again, you don't see a lot of scratches. it's next to you.
They use the monkey pot for a lot of dishware and things like that, and so it was pretty tolerant of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the little buttons, the push buttons on the column?
I think,
Those
those
are
are,
screws.
something.
So do they bore out the inside of that column to put them?
How they did that is I'm sitting here, or standing here, I don't know. I think I might have paused to look at that when I was going through there. And just
That
said,
might be why you took the
Oh.
picture.
Yeah. But the artistry.
Mm-hmm.
Downstairs, you got this bedroom space.
What appears to be a
sliding
floating
doors right here. Here, you've got storage space, you can spare bedroom or something.
Love the jute mat.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Oh,
The tan furniture.
just like that floating built-in bed
Yeah.
sofa. I'm assuming it's on a plastic.
What is well, that's
basement.
Yeah.
Off of the out.
When the party busted ever. Yeah.
The teens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what year is this again? 52?
Just wild, because to have that in 52,
Well, it's like
unless they,
all the sliders and everything are all wood. They're not steel or aluminum. Yeah, all the stuff's made.
It's still all work.
Handcrafted.
So you can go online and see a lot of photos. You can see construction photos. This was published quite a bit.
It is a masterpiece.
I didn't know I had an ultimate dream house, but this one might be winning in the bucket list of ultimate dream houses.
The final evening was an event down at the Admin building, which was another Ossipoff building. Recently been taken over and fixed up, I think originally left down.
Can I just throw a notice to even what the name of the street is for the last house? Tantalus Drive. If that's not like the most big, yeah, I was like, if that's not, you'll be tantalized up into our mountain hideout. If that's not the most appropriate street name.
So, this kind of perforated screen, appropriate or why? The thought was that made stuff look like an old IBM punch card. And its reception. Nights. And the lobby that they had a display of. What do you call them? Vintage aloha shirts.
Which I'm very familiar with. We could talk about this.
So that's what I'm leaving you with that.
Fantastic.
Even the detailing on that, I'm assuming that's a staircase that goes down.
Yeah, that's the circus.
But look at, it's like, is that even meeting up with the window? So as you look and it turns where the sofa is, does that piece
To
even
get
meet
the
up,
head
or is
height.
that?
The head height underneath is under the coffee table or the side
Right.
table.
Right.
Yeah.
That creates the head height for that ceiling and you take it down. Goes to the window. So that's low railing there.
The detail and all that is.
Yeah, I mean, just
And to have that built in like that, or that would have been a big early built-in. They weren't doing that. That was more of a 60s thing to do. That nature.
52.
I mean, that's early for that level of thinking.
Well, all this kind of work, it doesn't, look how good that looks. It's not, there's no kitschy bullshit on it. It's elegant and It's timeless.
It's kind of interesting, the time period too, kids, new houses. Like a case study house in Hawaii.
I was gonna say, that's almost a case, it basically is a case study house in a lot of ways.
Again, he had seen Lights Imperial Hotel. He had, it wasn't Chicago, so we got to see some lighthouses there.
Well, in Berkeley, we got to see the textile.
Right. And so who else would have been there? Gill, Berkeley, Arts.
Yeah, he probably got it a lot from Bert there. Yeah, Neutra.
Julie Morgan's work.
Yeah.
Well, even
There's also a clear expression of Japanese craftsmanship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's at East meets West.
More than Wright could ever do.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, his late work.
he was still saddled with a lot of decoration though.
And he didn't like, a lot of Wright stuff didn't like the airiness. This feels more Neutra to have the airiness of this one. That's where I feel like a lot of the Wright houses have struggled, is they have natural light, but not to the level of this one.
Now, some Wright houses are super dark.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's why it almost seems more case study-ish,
Yeah,
more Lochner-esque than
I mean,
some of Wright's working.
what's funny is that I feel there's a house in Arapahoe Hills that has that huge cantilever to their fireplace. And it looked like their fireplace in that house reminds me a lot of this one right here. And it's one that's, and that house has some Japanese influence. They've got shoji screens and that one's, so it's interesting because there are pieces of this living area that remind me of that one in that house.
What I think is interesting is, you know, the whole state, then country, is built. I mean, this is the time that it's built, the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
You know, it went from huts to
basically.
cars going down the streets and streetlights and everything.
Oh, that post-war building, as much as it was around here. Why was this nuts?
And I gotta think that there had to be something about, you know, because this, I mean, this stuff is getting published and things, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you're going there to work and practice, and is that even a real place, or, you know, that there might have, you know.
I wonder what this house cost.
I was wondering the same.
Oh, I know, they would probably mention it. See those vehicles.
But it was not cheap.
And of course, it was.
So everything had to probably go, everything probably had to be imported in. A lot of it probably was. All that redwood.
You know, that side table even goes over the stairs. That's just amazing.
I know that's what I was pointing out, is I was noticing that whole corner. Cause does that, where that wraps around, does that even meet the windowsill, or is there a gap in the window?
So it starts out.
Looks like it
it's-
meets
It's a real.
Yeah, and then it goes to
Comes
its
across,
end.
it's the windows.
Okay, I couldn't tell if there was actually a gap and it was floating.
It's one-
You bring up the thing about, you know, these wood buildings existing in this kind of environment, and the fact that they don't work, you know, and what do you do with some weird plot T111 building, experimental, you know, in a climate that just eats it.
And this is probably why they imported redwood though.
Yeah.
Redwood would be highly resistant to the pests and whatnot they have there.
It's the same thing with that Miami date pine that I picked up. It's extremely resistant to pests and things of that nature.
Especially the old growth woodwork. Redwood, they would have been able to get then.
Oh, right.
I wonder, I don't know this about redwood, but I did learn this about when I was in Florida about the Miami date pine, that a lot of the 1800s houses are built with in the Keys. and that's why they haven't been eaten by termites and why they haven't blown away, is that the bigger, older trees, the more heavy winds and storms that come through strengthens the tree and they release a resin. And so as that resin is released, it makes the tree stronger, but it also makes it more termite proof because the termites don't eat the resin. So I wonder if there's something in the fact that the redwoods get so big that there is some form of resin. And then they also have to resist wind because they get to be 100 feet tall. So they probably have some of that same.
I don't know the science behind it, but I know redwood is pest resistant and rot resistant, as is cedar.
Yeah. So that's probably, I mean, I bet it falls in some of those same lines, because if the termites haven't eaten away all that, I bet there's something about the redwood too that's that, but that was someone who was explaining the Keys architecture to me, because I was curious how all those wood frame structures had survived all those hurricanes, and I said it was the old growth pines down there.
Another thing they do in Hawaii, and I don't know if they do it with every structure, but I noticed it a lot on the Big Island anyway, is that most houses are built a few feet above the ground. So there's like a crawl space between the ground and the house. I'm sure it prevents termites and things from.
Like at the first house you should, is that way?
Yeah. Like that one is.
Yeah.
This one's fell.
Which
Yeah, but
makes
it's
sense
concrete.
for that other one, if you said it was on the slope too, if the site was unique. No new possibilities.
This one is, you see that? So from the front, it's really raining that day. You can see the water coming. It's like, well, that's just running underneath the building, right?
Wow.
Well, here it is coming down the slope underneath the house.
Wow.
So I wonder if they did some sort of an intricate drain system.
It's floating. Above the ground.
Oh, so it is floating.
But on the hillside.
There's one thing I noticed, there's a lot of houses in Hawaii are built several feet above the ground.
I haven't been there since I've understood architecture, since I was a teenager, so.
Yeah, the nice kind of very Japanese mix of finished glass.
Even that angular with the cove lighting.
You can see again, this house was published.
Yeah.
Nice.
If I could throw something in, you mentioned, if you go to Hawaii, contact your sons. Just a hint, if anybody's traveling, I'd highly recommend look on websites for Docomomo and other locations.
Yeah.
I contacted, I'd never met him. I looked on the UK site. It's a guy named Philip Boyle, no relation to me, who heads Docomomo UK. And I emailed him and said I was out there in September and said I'd love to meet up with somebody. And I said a couple of the days I want to go look at some remote sites, Barbican. This guy wrote me back immediately and said, I'm retired. I'll go out there. I live on 2 blocks from the Barbican. I'll take you out there and spend a day with you and show you the whole site. I've written about it.
Nice.
So I think with states, and I mean, somebody contacted me and they were from out of state. Said, I love Docomomo. Can you show me some things in Denver, Boulder? So sure. I have time.
Or at least we can recommend things to
Yeah.
go see.
Or they might have programming or whatever the case may be. So it's something to keep in mind, when you travel. It's a nice resource.
So we can plan a field trip there next
To
year.
London.
Hawaii.
Or to Hawaii. Yeah. Both.
We've got to get those.
Yeah.
I think is a national. Put them
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the whole, make a little map. Put them in there. A couple months ago, I showed the slides of Sarasota. And when we were down there beforehand, that's what Graham had done. I think he'd gone on to the Sarasota Docomomo or whatever it is. Got it. Boom,
Yeah.
So that's
I mean, people are usually flattered
Oh, yeah.
if they're with that organization, we show you stuff if they can.
I mean, we've messaged people and told them things over time to go see when they're out here.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic presentation.
Good.
Thank you. The next national is New Haven
Oh,
in June.
this year, I was thinking about the Philly Symposium.
Oh,
I
it's
really
in
wanted
Philly.
And the one after that'll be in Denver.
You know who threw their hat in the ring was Aspen.
Oh, that was just.
And I don't think it was Ann, it was the Aspen Historic Society. Wanted.
That would be a really good one.
The problem is transportation, getting people.
Yeah.
Well, I think I would.
I was, go back to the first house. I was just reading about the one with the egg crate. That is in the Record House's book of 54.
Really?
Yeah. I was actually just reading about this last weekend.
Wow.
How interesting.
But it didn't say anything about the egg crate being operable. That's
awesome.
really, really neat.
You can see the air conditioner shift in the corner. I just looked at that. They're like, a little warmer.
You know,
Also,
Was-
detail shots.
was there any, actually, that book is in my briefcase. Was there any room dividers that were just closing? Like
Closing?
between the lanai and the living space?
I don't recall that.
It originally just had high hooks
Oh, yeah.
on the floor and on one of the beams. And it was a clothesline. I thought it was really, really.
It's kind of building up there. Now, when I was rereading about this, it might be in one of those brochures. I think I read that like the lower level was built and then they built the second level a few years later. And since then, it's still original. I'm pretty sure that this the carport deal down here is not original. But yeah, when I saw that, the photo when it was first built, it was like, there's no plants there. And now it looks like this.
I mean, isn't that a story for a lot of modernist houses across the board? And these nice little trees and 60 years later, they're these giant behemoths.
The other thing about Hawaii is, you always marvel at like how wonderfully manicured resorts are. You don't appreciate, like, if they didn't manicure it for even like 2 weeks,
Right.
it would just be like.
There's a house, I was reading an article on a modernist house that they were trying to rescue that had been left vacant for a few years, and it literally was, you could barely outline a house in the middle of a jungle, like it just got taken over. And Florida's that way too. I think people forget that Florida was all wetlands and swamps and, I mean, we left, I haven't had them trim this one plant and it literally, in 6 months, it was trying to crawl in our jealousy windows in the sunroom. And I texted my landscapers and I was like, can we trim this thing? It's gonna take over my sunroom. Like just a basic, I think it's plumeria technically, but a form of one, but it just, in tropical climates, they do just literally, I mean, I had moss growing on the side of my house last time we were in Florida. So I was over there scrubbing my house for moss, like not a Colorado problem.
The flip side is in other climates, the trees are all dying off. So they're doing at the Eames House, the Moore House in Columbus, the Air Force Academy. What they're trying to do is alternate plantings. So there'll always be all the eucalyptus trees around the Eames House.
Really?
That's even a concern though,
They've
like,
got a mitigation thing, they're planting in cycles, so there'll always be trees.
Those were older than the house. though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then the honey locusts have just started dying off down there, and I remember Dwayne talking about that to us and
Having to
how,
order 140 or whatever it is,
yeah.
honey locust trees at once.
Well, and then they say that they always have one they're replacing, because he had pointed out a couple to us on the campus, that there's always one or two they're in the middle of replacing.
Sure, after I came here, in '5, we were planting some boulevard trees. And throughout this, plant what the rest of the street has. And the landscapers like, no, you don't want to do that, because what happens is, see, you plant all these elms, then they all die at once. You plant, so now the trend is to mix them up on the street.
Yeah.
But that is a concern too, like in a development like mine, where the entire development was built in '55 and all the trees are planted.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a whole neighborhood where all the trees are
Yep.
reaching their maturity at the same time.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens as a result of that.
So the cottonwoods on the Highline Canal are a big point of concern. Because those are all hitting actually older than an average cottonwood's life. And you can see as you walk the canal, these giant cottonwoods that have just crashed and burned. There was one house over from us that fell down, and I mean, it went all the way across the canal and into the neighbor's fence. And
Yeah.
I mean, and when those things rot, they rot from the
Right.
inside out, and they're disastrous. So
Yeah.
that's on, South Suburban is terrified of when all those, they're starting to. And then they're like, what are we gonna do? Cause that's part of the canal and part of like the appeal are these big trees. So I think they're starting to slowly sneak things in. But then they also have to approve keeping water running through it because they go back and forth about whether you want water to run through it in the canal. So I know trees are a huge concern across the board.
My mother and dad's house was built the house I grew up in was built in 1852. And there was a maple tree, but the house was built in pine. Part of the house. It's just an old farmhouse, but it's on axes and everything with the tree and all that kind of stuff. And that poor tree is giant. It's gone now because it died. So they had to cut it down. But it was part of the house. Really, really sad. It was like 300 years old.
Yeah, I mean, they only,
200.
yeah, but I mean, they can only live for so long.
They just cut down the last original cotton tree.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
From
How old was that tree then?
the 1876 or something.
Was it planted or was it?
No, they were planted them. Yeah, the original photos of one neighborhood.
That's not the tree that's out.
They, by the way, if you're a revenue builder and want to, they do an incredible nature work. Because they put in about 50 different kinds of trees so that they can see. Doesn't really happen. And so they have arborists who